While the Jedi Order was bleeding on the battlefields of Onderon, a different kind of darkness was festering in the heart of the galaxy. The Empress Teta system, a cluster of 7 worlds renowned for their immense wealth and carbonite mining, stood as a pillar of Republic prosperity. But beneath the golden nebulas and the shimmering trade routes, the foundations of this ancient civilization were beginning to crumble from within. Cinnagar, the capital, was a testament to architectural perfection, a city of endless gold and white stone, where the elite lived in palaces that touched the stars. For centuries, the Teta system had known only peace and luxury. But for the young and the wealthy, this peace had become a prison of boredom, a stagnant existence that left them hungry for a power their parents could no longer provide. Returning from the chaotic streets of Issis, Satal and Aleema Keto, the heirs to the Titan throne did not bring stories of peace. They brought an infection. Hidden beneath Satal's robes was the ancient Sith tome they had stolen from the dying breath of King Omin. They had witnessed the raw power of the dark side on Onderon, and they were no longer content with being mere aristocrats. As they walked through the lavish halls of their family's palace, the siblings looked at their peers with utter contempt. While the other nobles debated trade taxes and fashion, Satal and Aleema felt the pulse of the ancient book in their hands. They saw their world not as a masterpiece, but as a harvest waiting for a new master. In the deepest, most forgotten archives of the palace, the siblings finally opened the book, its pages bound in the skin of forgotten Sith acolytes, whispered secrets that hadn't been heard for 1,000 years. The text didn't just contain history, it contained the methodology of corruption. Every word read was a step further away from their humanity. Aleema, naturally gifted with a cruel intuition, was the first to harness the energy. She began to experiment with Sith sorcery, the art of illusions and mental manipulation. She found she could twist the shadows in the room, making stone feel like water and silence sound like screams. The dark side wasn't just a weapon to them. It was the ultimate toy. But they were not alone in their study. The spirit of Freedom Nad, the same shadow that had haunted Onderon, now loomed over the Teta system. Nad saw in Satal and Aleema the perfect vessels for his legacy. He guided their hands, showing them how to build an empire that would make the Republic tremble. Under the guise of a social club for the bored elite, the Krath was born. Satal and Aleema recruited the sons and daughters of the most powerful families in the system. They promised them godhood, showing them glimpses of the dark power they had unlocked. In the shadows of the Golden City, a secret army was being forged in blood and iron. The night of the coup was silent until the first blaster shot rang out. The Krath cultists, armed with Sith-imbued daggers and forbidden technology, moved through the palace like ghosts. The royal guards, trained for ceremonies rather than war, stood no chance against the supernatural ferocity of the Krath. The ultimate betrayal took place in the royal bedchamber. Satal Keto looked into his parents' eyes with a coldness that only the dark side can provide. Without a word, the line of succession was severed. The old era of the Teta system was murdered in its sleep, replaced by a regime of fear and magic. To solidify their rule, the Krath unleashed the Iron War-Droids, massive, brutal machines designed for planetary pacification. These weren't the sophisticated droids of the Republic. They were heavy, clanking monsters that crushed any resistance under their bronze treads. The streets of Cinnagar, once filled with music, now echoed with the march of iron. Standing on the balcony of their new empire, Satal and Aleema declare themselves the rulers of the Krath. The golden banners of the seven worlds were torn down and replaced by the jagged, purple crest of their cult. A message was sent to the Republic. The Teta system was no longer a member. It was a sovereign. Fortress of the Sith. The news of the coup hit Coruscant like a physical blow. The Galactic Senate descended into chaos as holograms of the burning Cinnagar city filled the chambers. The Republic had lost its primary source of carbonite, and, more importantly, it had a Sith-led uprising right on its doorstep. The time for diplomacy had ended. The Jedi Council knew that Onderon had only been the beginning. Nomi Sunrider, sensing the growing darkness, met with a battle-weary Ulic Qel-Droma. Ulic, still mourning the loss of his master, was eager for a fight. They began to plan a massive counter-strike, but Nomi feared that Ulic's heart was being consumed by the very darkness he sought to destroy. As thousands of Republic cruisers prepared for the jump into hyperspace, the galaxy held its breath. The coming conflict wouldn't just be a war of ships and blasters. It would be a clash of wills, a struggle between the light of the Jedi and the ancient shadows of the Krath. The Great Sith War had truly begun.